Hello, everyone. Welcome to From the Void podcast, a show all about Eternal and our experiences with the game. I'm Navillus, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Bassoon. How are you, sir?
Hey, bud. I'm good. I'm ready to get an action-packed, fun adventure underway.
Awesome. Okay. Why don't you introduce our awesome action-packed guest? How about that?
Oh my God! Today we have the first crowned community champion. We have the ha lord, the inventor of FJS, the trash master. Camat0 is on our show. We are blessed with Camat0. How are you doing today, buddy?
Very well. Very well. Happy to be here.
Okay, so on the show, we start off by talking about how we spent our week in Eternal. And I want to hear about how yours went, Camat0.
So, I've been streaming, playing a lot of bad decks, trying a lot of stuff, losing ranks, being salty, and the usual. I also casted the last week ETS. That was a lot of fun and a lot of work. Like, I have a lot of respect for the people that cast those tournaments. Like, it's a very, very long tournament to cast. So I think... Yeah, tell me?
No, yeah, it lasts... So I underestimated how long it lasts, and I also underestimated how mentally taxing it is to keep jumping between windows. And when I cast, I lose track of the player's hands so often.
Yeah, like, half of the time I was looking only one of the hands. I have no clue what the other player had. So, like, I did a really poor job.
I think that's if I want ETS chat to understand one thing, it's that we don't see what the viewer sees, and it's so hard to keep track of what everybody has.
Yeah, looking for me, I was talking about random stuff all the time, so I didn't I didn't talk a lot about the games, so people didn't notice that much that I didn't know what other people had in hand. But it was fun. Like I had a lot of fun.
How excited were you to cast the 1 week a season where Temporal is popular?
It's fine. Like, what you need to understand about me is I don't really hate that much anything. I just love hating things. Like, this week was Temporal. Next week will be other deck. I will, like, every time if I cast a game, I will hate the deck. I don't know what deck will be, but I will hate the deck. Like, that is what you need to understand. There is always a bad guy. At least for me.
I thought it was very savvy of RNG. The week after there's a big controversy over a caster being too mean, they bring in Camat0, the man who hates literally everything.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun talking with with friends about how ironic was this. Like, he was desperate. He didn't have anyone else to cast, so...
Oh wow. So Bassoon, how was your week in Eternal?
My week was boring because I'm still camping my top 100 spot in ranked, so I've had to forget that the constructed format exists for a week. I did top 8 another ETS, it feels good.
Yes,
we'll talk Highway this week.
We'll talk about that when we get to the top 8 because I want to ask you a few questions. But what rank are you sitting at right now? Like,
I am ranked 39 right now. I've been as high. I have not played a ranked game in 2 weeks, and I've been as high as 36 and as low as 42.
How many hours do you have left? What is it? What is this? What does the season end? What time? Is it like 2-3 in the morning or something like that?
It ends at 3:12 in the morning for some reason. It's in the client.
Well, I think it's because
for me it's at 4.
Yeah, because we're Eastern time, so probably midnight for those out west, and so we get the weird times out here. So oh man, I hope you don't decay too fast in the next 12-15 hours. So and so anyway, so that's cool. So go ahead.
Tell me, Bibi, what deck get you there? What brilliant deck get you there?
What amazing deck! Okay, so here's the story of my ladder climb this month. I climbed to top 100 with Reanimator. And then the next day, I lost 13 games in a row with Yetis. And ended at 500. I went into the client and looked. It was literally 13. I'm not exaggerating. And then the next day I was just like, you know what, Camat0 just like won a tournament with this deck, and he tells me that it's very easy to play. So I'm just going to queue up Chainbrei chains and just ramp my way to victory. And in one stream session, I got from rank 500 to rank 60 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Pretty nice.
That's pretty good.
Deck is stupid. Camat0's insane.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that Camat0 guy sounds like a smart guy.
So humble too.
Hi, I've heard he's pretty good.
for sure.
Yeah.
And tell me, what did you play after that to get to your actual rank?
So I did play chains to get up to rank 40 as well. I just did that off stream.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
From 100 to 40, it was I went 3-1 in games, and that's all it took was for me to get to 100 up to 40, and then I stopped playing.
Nice. Well, I hope it holds.
How did you find the strength to stop there with the streak? Like, I think that is the hardest part. Like, saying, okay, I have the emote ranks. I will stop here. I will not fuck it up.
So there was another SPG member. We were in a call and we were all just trying to camp our 100 spots. I will not blast out this SPG member, but at the same time I went 3-1 and stopped. This person, we were like the same rank. This person went 1-3 and lost their mind and ended up at like rank 150, and they were so mad. And that motivated me to not play anymore.
Don't do that. Oh man.
Part of
That is
being
why
on a
you
team
need
is
to have a
learning from
team.
your teammates' mistakes.
Yeah.
So we have learned once you don't get greedy when you get in the top 100. Just get the top 50 and just sit, okay? And you're good.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yes. My weekend Eternal finally hit Masters this week. I was just been goofing off for basically the whole month, and I've been busy playing other video games, so my Eternal time wasn't as much as usual. But I was playing the Chainbrei deck, got up to Diamond 1 with that. Went from basically I played Yetis until the Diamond rank, and then from Diamond D3 to D1 was Chainbrei, and then I just switched to that Rakano deck that Bassoon posted in our Discord, and just I think I went like 4-0 or 5-0 into Masters with it pretty easily, and
I love that. The one that I was playing on stream last week. You watched the stream when I was helping my friend.
But I don't pay attention to the decks.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah, it was just budget Rakano aggro, which is just Rakano aggro. There's
Yes.
no difference
Okay.
between budget Rakano and normal Rakano.
Yeah,
No.
The classic Warhelm sharpshooter combo. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's only one legendary in the entire deck, which is the
The
is there
plate
any
in the
leg-
market.
There's one plate in the market.
There's
Yeah.
one in the plate in the market, and that's it. And so, who's
Yeah.
the? I can't remember the name. The mentor guy, the one that comes down and you. No, not mentor. The one that comes down and you put like +2/+2 on another
Sharpshooter.
unit. Yes. And-
No. You say the guy of arms. I don't remember how is the name. The 2/2 that give +2/+2.
Yeah, he's
Or
a
what do you
unit.
say?
Yeah, he's a 2-cost unit, 2/2 that gives another unit +2/+2. That's a really good unit. So especially if you can chain them right after. but yeah, so I did that. So I was just having fun playing that. It was like, wow, budget Rakano, which is basically Rakano, is still really good. And so
Sometimes it feels good just to hit a Master at Arms over Master in chat.
yes.
Yeah.
Lets us
The
know.
good old trick of playing aggro in ranked always work. It's a good way to get to masters.
Yes.
Like, it's probably the best way because it's really fast.
Yeah, because I was messing around with some other decks. I was messing around with like the Genève deck, and I started bouncing around a little bit with that. It's a fun deck, but just the games took too long, especially when you faced against temporal control. Those games just, I was just like,
For the love of God.
there was so much temporal control in D1, so I'm like, I'm just gonna switch to Rakano. And I faced, I think, out of the 5 decks I faced, I think 3 were temporal control, and I crushed them, which because I was just fast and they didn't have the the hailstorm.
Yeah,
But,
because you were playing a real deck. And they don't.
yeah. So I was like, forget this. I'm just gonna run over them. So anyway, that was my past week in Eternal. So all right, let's move into our news. We got some news that popped up just basically this morning, kind of. So we are gonna talk about it. We have right now. I'm gonna let Bassoon take over this, but there is a design in the game for an emote. Bassoon, tell us about this. It just was posted on Reddit. I believe who did Scarlatch posted this, I believe.
The Direwolf Digital official account.
Oh, Direwolf, the official account.
Okay. I always wonder if they have an intern, or if Scarletch just has a giant computer bay and he just handles it all. Every tweet you've ever seen, every Discord post. Okay, so somebody can post the link in chat, but basically the DWD made a post on Reddit that said they're adding a community emote bundle to the influence store. You can buy the emote bundle once it's created with your influence, but the community aspect of it is on this Reddit post, you in the comments will request what you want each emote to be. So the categories are well played, greet, thanks, curse, cheer, and taunt, just like all the other emotes. And then once the public outcry has been confirmed for each of these, they will bundle them up and release them in the influence store, and it's just yet another thing we can spend our blue orbs on.
Yeah, clearly we all need to vote for hahaha. That is clearly the superior emote, so I hope everyone votes for that.
Your humble host, Bassoon Buffoon, has already posted on the thread that ha 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 needs to be an emote. That is the official stance of
this
From the
podcast.
Void podcast. Yes, that ha 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 needs to be an emote. J-A-J-A-J-A.
Yes.
So,
I will keep watching this podcast after this weekend.
Oh man. All right. Anything else to say about that before we move into our next news segment?
no, I just want to publicly say I like this initiative. It's a cool way to involve the community, and a cool new way for us to use our influence. And I like it. I hope Direwolf Digital keeps doing cool stuff like this.
Yes, I like how they involve the community in little things like this, which is cool. So keep doing it. Thank you, Direwolf. You guys are awesome. All right, let's move on to the ETS Top 8, where our very own Bassoon made it once again. But he did it with a different deck this time. So
Listen, it has 2 Yetis in it, so it counts.
it has 2 Yetis. Okay. As long as it has Yetis, it's good, right? Okay.
And it has the best Yeti in the game, so...
Yes, that's by far. Yeah, I don't think any Yeti's deck would be playable if Champion of Fury didn't exist.
Very true.
Yeah.
What do you think about the 2 Mole decks making the top 8?
When there's 8 copies of Temporal, 2 copies of Maul are going to make top 8. That's just what the world that we live in is.
Yes.
I'm so salty because my deck was by far the best positioned deck to win this tournament. When I saw that Aether Llama lost, I was like, it's time. I played Aether Llama in Swiss, and he dunked on me, and I had no chance against that deck. But...
And tell me, Bibi, who tell you to play that deck that week? Who was there?
Oh my! We're establishing that. So I messaged Camat0. We were talking about something else, and I messaged during the course of this conversation. I was like, "Oh, by the way, I think I'm going to play Grenadins this week." And Camat0 said, "That is incredibly stupid of you to do. Please don't play Grenadins if you are seriously thinking about trying in this tournament. Play Haunted Highway instead." And I did, and I have top 8. And basically, we've established on this podcast that I'm Luke Skywalker, and Camat0 is the little Yoda on my back, who's just whispering all the good and smart things to me.
Missing Toes just said in chat that BB is just Camat0's puppet, and so
It's fair. I owe him everything. I'm giving him 10% when I win the world championship.
all right. Now, what did you think about Knife Bloom's deck? Did you get a chance to look at that?
I had looked at it before. It was on Eternal Warcry before this tournament. And I had looked at it before, and I just thought, like, oh, okay, so it's just, like, less consistent FJS. I get it. But it worked out. When when Knife Bloom understands something, they execute it to perfection. Mm-hmm. So I think this game is small enough that really, really good players can make bad decks overperform. And I think this deck is just, like, maybe a little bit faster, but still overall worse than just, like, a good FJS deck.
Yes.
Yeah, and there is also the fact that it's really hard to play versus these decks because you are not used to these kind of decks. So you don't really know what really matters, how good some cards are. Like, I think it's really hard to play versus these Roach decks sometimes. So that is an advantage for Knife Bloom. And as I say many times before, Knife Bloom is a god, so he can beat you with a sandwich. It's not a problem.
Yeah, Knife Bloom has single-handedly broken the format of this game multiple times. So this another official stance of the From the Void podcast is Knife Bloom is very good, and we mean no disrespect. But
and with breaking the format, you mean beat anyone with decks that no one else can play, right?
Yeah. Just piloting memes like a god, which is like the best of both worlds.
Yes. All right, let's go on to our next thing. We have a community store check-in. Bassoon, you have a little bit more information about this. You want to take this away? I'm going to pull the notes up here.
Okay, yeah, we don't have to, like, we're going to get into, like, a little bit of tinfoil hat speculation on this part of the show. We don't need to talk. Scarlatch, who, if for the uninitiated, is the person who owns the company that makes Eternal. Or if he doesn't own it, he's like the CEO. I don't fully understand his role. He's the boss of the whole game. Made a post on Reddit, and I'm sure everybody is aware of, like, there are people in the community who are unhappy with how the influence store has affected the streaming ecosystem, I guess. And so he made a post, and he's like, "Look, we're looking at fixing it. We don't really know what we want to do with it yet. This is all just like an experiment. We're just testing, and that's cool. Missing Toes in Chat says he's the CEO, and that's cool. I appreciate that we're being communicated with on this level. But what I really want to bring attention to is in the second to last sentence of his post, he says, there will be some content updates mid-March, and we're planning a fun event next week tied to the community store. So I think the second half of the sentence, a fun event next week tied to the community store, we just learned what that is, right? Mm-hmm. This community store emote bundle. But content updates mid-March, new expansion? Question mark? That's what we're looking at, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, at least it's what everyone hopes.
I'm ready for some new cards. I'm ready to just nuke the format with like 25 new cards.
Yeah, for sure. It's been about how many months now has it been? The set got released the beginning of
December.
Yeah. So we're about
Camat0, what are you hoping for? What do you think the game needs out of the next campaign?
I don't know. Like, I think the game is in a fine spot right now. Like, the only complaint I have is we were playing with the same decks for a very long time, but I think the balance is fine. I think the decks are interesting to play. Like, I don't think the game is in a bad spot right now. So I'm fine with anything. We'll see what they have.
Yeah, I think the game is in a decent spot right now, but I like to see some new cards. New cards are always a good thing.
Oh, for sure. Like, we want new cards, but like my point is, I don't think we need new cards, but I want new cards.
Yeah,
that is.
I think for any game like this, you always kind of need to keep. I mean, they know it too. Keep going with content, but I think a campaign would be fun just for the lore people, for just story wise, just kind of. I enjoy the campaigns actually. I enjoy the challenges they do. I hope they. I do hope they. I don't know if did they do it to the last one where you can set like a difficulty level. I wish they would do that with the campaigns. Kind of. I don't know.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
I would like that, like a championship mode.
Yeah,
just give us like a card back for doing it.
Yeah, something like that. I think it'd just be fun where you can if you beat it one through, you can go through it again and okay, I'm gonna do it on, you're gonna die mode type thing. So, but I think that'd be kind of cool to do and stuff like that because I do enjoy the campaigns. I enjoy playing with them. the art style and all that stuff I think is pretty cool. So I think they do a good job on the presentation of those.
Is there a deck that currently exists right now that is like one good site away from being like tier 1?
Oh man.
Like if there was like a really good Feln site, would like Feln Control be back?
I don't know. Maybe like sites are so powerful. Like I think a lot of aggro decks will become really really good if they give a side to them. Like if you give a good side to Rakano or to Stone Scar, I think those aggro decks can be really really good because the big problem they have is how weak they are to removal. But all of a sudden you give a cheap side to them, and they are not weak to removal anymore. So I think basically any deck, if you give a good side to them, they can be tier 1. We'll see. Sides are so powerful.
That makes sense. I think they've been really good about this first run of sites not making them too strong. Because like cards that are already like one card that is 4 cards is so strong that like I think that they are wise not to play fast and loose with making really strong sites.
Yeah, they did a good job. They nerfed the peak, but I think only nerfing one of the sides and so many of them in play, like they did a really good job. Like it's so hard to balance a new type of card. Like I do think they did a very good job with the sides.
Yeah.
I'd argue they didn't even need to nerf the peaks. I think they just did it to like make people feel better about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe. Like it's not like it changed so much. Like I don't think the nerf was very big for peak. Like I think was probably the smallest nerf of all the nerfs.
Oh, we lost Camat0. Are you still there?
I'm
Your microphone
here.
died on us.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Are you coming
Did
out?
I die? Are you there,
still
Navillus?
No, I can still hear you. I think your
Oh,
video
no.
feed is frozen.
Did everyone die but me?
Yes, we can hear. I
Who's
can
here?
hear you. Oh no, here
You
we
can
go.
hear me?
I can hear you, Camat0.
Everyone is staying.
Okay, Bassoon will come back on. Okay, I think also in the chat here, Missing Toe says he's hoping for really narrow hate cards that delete entire strategies. and then
I think he's joking, but maybe he wants that. I don't know.
I don't know. And then Jay said, calling it right now. Campaign has some sort of market hate card that won't be good enough to see.
Probably.
So I don't know. I think there will be something for markets. Kind of to maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I like markets, but I think it's like. What do you think about that? If there's a hate card for a market,
I don't like the idea of making hate cards for markets.
But soon you're back.
Okay,
We're talking about if there needs to be a hate card for markets.
Not until they make one that's too broken.
No, I don't think we need a hate card for markets, but I will love to make a limit to the merchants you can play. I would love to see the game have a limit to 4 merchants, for example. Like, if you can only play 4 merchants max in every deck, I think that will make the game better. Because right now, the decks that play 8 merchants, they are doing the same over and over again every fucking game.
Yeah.
Like,
what if there's like a card, like a relic or something, say you played on your opponent and any card that comes out of the market costs like 2 or 3 more? Something like that. I mean...
I don't know, like the problem is I'm not a fan of these hate mechanics. Like, I think they feel so bad. Like, I rather limit the number of merchants you can play. I think that is such a much better solution.
Here's if we're changing markets, here's what my proposition is, and I think it would fix a lot of the repetitive play patterns of playing with markets. Mm-hmm. Is with the black. I thought when they announced how black markets would work, I thought that once you put a card into your market that started in your deck, you still couldn't get it back out. Like I thought I thought smugglers could only access ever cards that didn't start in your deck. You know, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then you lose a lot of like FJS shuffling Zos in and out of their market for their whole life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I've heard it said where make like the regular merchants, they can't grab stuff from like a black market from the black, that type of thing too. There's because you have
But
like
that is fine, but I don't think that fixes all the problems. Like, you still have a lot of 8 merchant decks that don't play smugglers. Like, the pick deck that was nerfed played the blue merchant and the red merchant, no smugglers. The Cainbrei deck right now play green merchant and white merchant, don't play smugglers. Like, I don't think smugglers are the problem. Like, smugglers are actually a much better design than the merchants. They, they are much better because they are not tutors for the extra copies of the card you have in the main. Like, I don't think we need to nerf smugglers. What we need is to have less merchants in the decks. I feel like that will be better for the game.
That makes sense.
yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, any last things about speculations before we move on? Are we?
I guarantee you the campaign will have a site in it. That is my promise to you, dear chat.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. That is a good speculation. I hope they give us another powerful card, expensive powerful card like Asindel. I think Asindel is a really fun card that is great for the game, and I wish they make more of those. Like, I think cards like Chain or Asindel are great for the game because they are powerful but they are expensive, so you don't immediately die when they play it early, and you still can do very powerful stuff. I think those cards are great.
I think they also, real quick, I think making more cards that interact with sites too. I think they might do that, and so.
I'm fine with not having more cards that interact with sites. Like, the idea to have sites is to force people to play units and play to the board.
Yeah, exactly. Units
So-
are site interaction. That's the point.
Yeah.
I agree with Camat0.
Yeah,
I see
like,
that.
rather that, instead of giving me, like, I don't want them to give me ways to kill sites. I want to nerf Hellstorm. That is what I want.
Oh, 2-drops is how you kill sites.
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Like, you nerf Hellstorm and all the student, the sites are not the problem. I can assure you that.
Oh yeah. No, I was just thinking like more site interaction along with units, not like a spell or something like that. Like more units.
No,
maybe.
it's fair.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's fine to have site interaction. Like, because if you are trying to interact with sites with cards, you are still falling behind because they already got the card and you are expending the card. Like, it's a 2-for-1 still if you kill the site with, like, when you use the FTP display to kill the site, you still are 1 card behind. So it's fine to have cards that kill sites.
Oh.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So, all right, let's move on to about you, Camat0. Tell us all about yourself, your card game history, when you started playing Eternal, what do you do for content? So, tell us about your card game history, how you got into card games.
I don't know, like, basically I started playing card games very, very young. I think I saw the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, and that get me into that. But the first game I started playing was Magic. A little time after that, like, I don't know, I have like 12 when I started playing Magic. I played like for 2 or 3 years, maybe more. Yeah, I don't know. And then I stopped playing Magic for a long time and played a lot of other card games, all casually, of course. And I come back to Magic like in Teros. I don't remember when that was, but I come back to Magic for that. And still playing casual. And then I find about Eternal. Like, I found out in the closed beta I start playing Eternal. In the closed beta I was just random guy that was pretty bad at the game and had no idea what other people was doing. Like, people was playing broken decks and I was playing my Rakano aggro deck. But to be fair, it was a little broken too, so it's fine. And I actually started like competing in ETS and in Eternal in general with Step 2. Like, there is when I started to play in tournaments, and I had success very early on, like the second or third week I played, and that year I won like 3 tournaments or 4 the ATS. I won
What were
other
you playing
other.
before you started playing FJS? For me, my memories of Camat0 is like, oh, that's the guy that like randomly won worlds with a new deck for the first time, and that's so crazy.
Oh, yeah, like actually I was playing other decks all the time. Like the first ATS I won with Argent Port mid range, and then I won with Chalice, and then I won other tournaments, random tournaments of other organizations that are not even relevant. I don't remember even how many, because I only remember the ATS wins. uh, yeah, like the other tournaments disappear, so are not very important to me. Like I don't remember how many tournaments I won the first year, 2 or 3, not much more of that. I remember the Argent. I won 2 tournaments with Argentport. First, I won with Argentport playing Instigator into Harshul, the classic 2-drop into Harshul. Then I won with Chalice, and then they released this card that people don't know very much. I don't know if you hear about this. Tavrot. Yeah, they released that card. Yeah, yeah.
I remember that guy.
Like, yeah, no one never complained about that card. Like they released Tavrot, and I basically broke the format that week. Like I made Argent for mid range, and won that week the tournament without losing a game. Like was insane. Like I didn't lose a round with the deck. I felt like I was playing a deck that was in other format. Like it was insane. Like that was probably the easiest tournament I ever played. And
that was back when Protect cost 1 as well, right?
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah, exactly.
Disgusting.
Yeah. And 2 weeks after that, the deck was nerfed. They nerfed Bart. Like it's interesting because like the deck was actually very interesting because now we see Argent for mid range and looks very obvious. Oh, of course, you play a curve that end in Tavrot and you play weapons. Oh, of course, that is very obvious. But at the time was like very new the idea of playing weapons and playing a card advantage engine like Tavrot in the same deck, and playing Tavrot and Bard in the same deck was kind of interesting. I remember Reno hating the idea of playing Bard in Argent for mid range, but then was very clear that was the right call. Like Bard was insane. Like you had so many free wins just playing Bard into Falchion.
Yeah.
And after that, like I remember I started playing the team league, and I know there my new teammates, my ET team that I have now, Eternal Titans. I know them from the team league. Soon after the team league, I don't remember if we won this team league or not. I think we don't. Like I think we probably ended second or something like that. Don't remember really. But after that, I joined ET, and I played my second grade. No, I actually didn't do decent. I think it was a mediocre invitational actually. Yeah. This was when invitationals were double elimination, that awful format that we all hate.
I play fighting games, so I love double elimination.
In fighting games, it's fine. It's very different than in card games. In card games, it's awful to play double elimination. But it doesn't matter. We are not talking about double elimination. So, after that, I was almost qualified to play Worlds. Like the point is, that year had 6 seasons, and I only played 2 seasons. So somehow I won so many points in those 2 seasons that I was qualified for wildcard. That was the last tournament to qualify to Worlds. But I also was even on points with Elunex. So we played the tiebreaker games to see who was going to play wildcard and who was going direct to Worlds. And I was really lucky and won that game, that matchup. So I ended in Worlds with the direct invite.
Oh, okay. You didn't even have to
Pizarro.
play in the wild card.
Yeah, yeah. I was insane. Like I only played 2 seasons and ended qualifying to Worlds. I was really hot at that time.
Yeah.
Like I was never so lucky. Well, except many times after that. But it
Except
doesn't
all the other times I was really lucky.
yeah, exactly. So Worlds, like I have that 5 duties out there that was like kind of a new idea because was a mid-range deck that looked really weak to control decks, but it's actually super powerful versus control deck because at that point no one knew that Icaria was insane except me. Like at that point I was playing 4 Icarias in many decks. At Worlds I play only 2 or 3 because for some reason people forgot that Tavrod was insane in Worlds too. Like only 2 persons play Tavrod at Worlds, and those 2 persons ends on finals. Like we play like the finals was a mirror Tavrod, a Tavrod mirror. Like no one else was
Sometimes
playing
with like
Tavrod.
ETS like invitationals, like sometimes really small ETS tournaments, like all these really smart, really good players will just like overthink and just know everyone will try and beat the best deck, and no one will just play the really good deck.
Those tournaments are super hard. They are insane because like everything can go so wrong. Like you can basically you can never metagame in those tournaments because you always get it wrong and it's always going down. Like for example, I remember Angry Chicken playing Boda combo, saying aggro don't exist, and he gets completely destroyed in the tournament because it was half aggro. Like that tournament was I don't know what the tournament was great. Like my deck was insane for the tournament. Like I ended first in the round robin, and the tournament was insane for us as a team because we ended with all our players in the top 8. Like
Yeah.
I don't remember if we had 4 or 5 people, but we had 100% conversion on the top 8, and we won the tournament. Like that tournament was insane. And
Well, I was
what
still I didn't play a lot then. I was still like just kind of a fanboy watching the tournaments, and I remember yours and Moosh's historic runs.
Yeah, Mush was insane because I think he won like there was like 16 or 15 rounds and he won like 2. Like he lost every game basically. And but because after the first round robin you had another like it was elimination in the bottom 4 and he won there to qualify to the second round robin and then won all the way to get to the top 8. That was insane. Like I think was one of the times that Mush shows how good of a player is because you need to be really good to not lose concentration and to not tilt after that and just forfeit.
Yeah, I have like if I start 2-14, I tilt off the face of the universe. Like I have a 0% chance of recovering from a 2-14 start, and Moosh found the lines. It was incredible.
That's crazy. So let's go here for the time constraint. Let's go into the deck of the week and talk about our the topic, which is mid range this week. How to play mid range. So the deck we're going to bring up is a deck that Camat0 has played quite well. And so let me bring it up here. It is, as you know, Chainbrei. And so let me...
we have a little problem here because this is not a mid-range deck, actually. This is a RAM deck. This is a different archetype. So maybe we should talk about RAM decks instead of mid-range decks.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you a little bit about just like your general, because I think you are one of the better mid-range players in the game. So the questions I have for you are not about your Cainbray deck, but like you've done some interesting stuff in the most recent ECQ. You top 16, I think, with FJS, right? Top 8 with FJS, and you made some like pretty drastic changes. The 2 big ones I can think of are you cut Slays from the deck and put Vanquishes in the main board, and you played that 4-drop, the red 4-drop. What's it do?
The Cycle Breaker.
Yeah,
Siegebreaker.
Siegebreaker. Yeah. And so that was like, I think those were calls that only like you say like, I'm tuning this like mid-range FJS deck for the meta. And my mid-range galaxy brain is making
Yeah,
these calls, and I wanted
actually,
you to talk about that a little bit.
actually, half of that is true, half is not. Like the Six Breaker, yes, was a meta call. Like at that point, I was looking at all the decks that people was playing and thinking, okay, everyone is wielding the decks to not lose to board. Like everyone has board, so you don't play relics main. You know you are going to lose if you do that. So, for example, Fire Shadow only had one relic, and it was in the market. So you can play Seasbreaker, destroy the chain, and you don't care if they kill it. They can't get other relic. And if you play versus Chainbrei, for example, you don't care because the only way they can kill the Seasbreaker is with the chain. So if you destroy the chain and they have other chain, you are losing that game anyway. So it doesn't matter. And all the other decks don't really play relics. So in the end, I thought, okay, Sixbreaker is better than Ball right now because no one is playing relics or they don't have removal. In any case, the downside is irrelevant here, and that was the reason I played Sixbreaker in that tournament.
Yeah, I like that. I like that thinking a lot because you basically found Boar with a body. Like you found a way to squeeze as much like pressure into a deck as possible.
Yeah, like you are changing board that is a relic hate card for a card that is also a unit that sometimes you want. Because if you are playing versus aggro decks, the only relevant card you have versus aggro is basically Harsul. So after you play Harsul, if you draw a second merchant, it's dead. But now you have a 6/5 that it can block very well versus aggro. So you are cheating and having a 6 slot. And sometimes you just need to be the aggressor. Because I think one of the big points people have with the Fire Shadow deck and the mid-range decks in general, like after seeing the last ETS, I saw how bad people is playing the mid-range decks. Like people playing FTP and trying to outgrind the temporal deck is insane to me. Like that will never work. Like
Yeah.
I saw every mid-range player trying to outgrind temporal, and that is insane. You should be the aggressor. You should try to beat them down. Because the moment they play Brilliant Idea for 4 or 6 cards, you are dead. You are never coming back from that. I think that is the problem. Like people is way too used to playing these mid-range decks in a world without control and thinking they are always the control player, but that is actually not true. And that is why it's so hard to play mid-range. Because you need to understand when you are the aggressor and when you are the control player. And that is the part that I think a lot of people is missing.
That makes a lot of sense. I think when you play FTP specifically into Temporal, you kind of have to decide at some point during the game, like, oh, I'm a burn deck now.
Yeah.
Like halfway through the game, you're like, okay, this is just FTP burn at this point.
Yeah. Like on the other hand, talking about the Slay, like the Slay situation is completely different because that was not a meta call. That is the right way to build the deck, in my opinion. I think people is making a big mistake playing a Slay instead of Vanquish in Fire Shadow, and in general playing so many Slays, because the deck is already full of 3-drops. Like the 3-drop slot is so full. Like you have 8 merchants and you have the displays. You are already playing 12 3-drops. Like you can't play that many 3-drops because if you do that, you end being really clunky because then you don't have that many 2-drops and 4-drops, so you are missing out the curve and you end with really clunky hands. Like if you have 3 3-drops, you play 3-drop on 3, and then when are you playing the next 3-drops? You are playing 2 3-drops on 6, and you are playing a 3-drop on 4, another on 5. Like you are being so inefficient if you do that. If you instead do what I did and play Vanquish, what you are doing is now all the sudden you have 5-drops because one of the 5-drop plays you have in the deck, like the deck don't have 5-drops, but now because you have Vanquish, you can play another 3-drop on 5 and Vanquish, and that is kind of your 5-drop because that is so much efficient and that is so much better for you because playing 2 spells a turn is the key to be efficient and to win games that are about tempo. And the other problem that you have is that in reality, if you see all the matchup, if you understand the deck, you will see that every card you can kill with the Slay and you can kill with Vanquish is a card that in reality you don't want to kill with the Slay. Like basically, if you see something like, I don't know, Enforcer or any 3-drop, you don't want to kill it with the Slay. Because if you kill it 3-drop versus an aggro deck with the Slay, you are falling behind and you are going to lose the game anyway. And if you are killing a 3-drop versus any range or control deck, you are wasting a very important removal that you need for other cards.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense.
In reality, if the two cards are doing the same, I'd rather have the cheap one instead of the expensive one, because that will give you the chance to come back in games you fall behind and make you play on curve much better.
That's awesome. Okay, so in summation on this mid-range talk, I think you're saying that the two most important things that any mid-range deck can do are be as efficient as possible, more so with aggro decks and maybe with control decks. It's a generally thing you want to do, but I feel like with mid-range it's more important, is be as efficient as possible with your power, and to get better at identifying when you are the aggressor and when you are the control player.
Yeah, I think the efficiency is for all the decks. I think that is equally important for every deck, and it's something that people forget all the time. Like, they rather play powerful cards that play on curve, and that is sometimes right. Like, sometimes power is more important, but I think people forget a lot about being efficient. But yes, like, I think the two things that are very important about mid-range that are different from other archetypes and are really hard are knowing what is your role in the matchup. Like, you are not always the control player and you are not always the aggressor. That is very different with aggro and control. Like, with control, you are 90% of the time the control player, and with aggro, you are 90% of the time the aggro player. With mid-range, that changes all the time. And switching roles. Like, something that will happen to you when you play a mid-range deck, in particular versus other mid-range decks, is that sometimes you start being the aggressor, you have a good curve, but all the students, they make some efficient plays, and you are behind. And now you need to change your role. You know that you don't have the reach to beat them down, so you need to try to now be the control player. And you need to know when to change roles in the game. And I think that is really hard, and that don't happen with other decks. Like, if you are playing an aggro deck versus any other deck, if you start like being the aggressor, you know you are going to be the aggressor all the way. You are not changing roles. You are hoping to top deck a torch. As like, that is the maximum you can do. But with mid-range, you can change the role and you can try to beat them in another way. And I think that is actually the harder part in the game, and why I think mid-range decks are in general the hardest to play, because it's so hard to identify when you need to change your role, when you need to forfeit and say, okay, I'm not going to beat them down, now I need to play the control role. Or sometimes when you see that the mid-range deck draws so many cards that you are never going to win the late game, so you say, okay, now I need to beat them down, now I need to be the aggressor because I'm not winning the late game.
That makes sense.
Yes. All right.
Awesome. I feel like I'm smarter now. And that was always the goal with this series we're doing.
I feel like I have learned a few things, which is good. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, maybe things I knew subconsciously, but now, like, it's been explained, I'm like, yeah, got it. Yeah. So appreciate it. Thank you, Camat0. All right, let's look at your deck. This ramp deck. Okay. I'm not gonna go over the numbers of the cards, but for our listeners, I'm just gonna run through the list real quick. You have initiatives.
No, it's pretty simple. It's all 4 off. Like, every card you have 4.
Yeah, you have every 4. Yes, pretty much. If it's not in the main deck, it's in the market. So there you go. Initiative stands. I carry a Valkyrie Captain, Power Stone, Trailmaker, Aurelian Merchant, Privilege of Rank, Winchest Merchant, the Great Parliament, Marshal Ironthorn, Minotaur Ambassador, Tulute Queen's Hand, Martyr Chain, bunch of sigils, and then the market, Desert Marshal, Sword of Unity, the Great Parliament, Martyr Chains, Pit of Lenica. So, tell us about this deck. Like, for like mulligan wise, what matchups are?
The mulligan. Yeah, I will tell you all I know. Like, you need to know.
Camat0's ready for this. Okay, go for it.
So, this deck is really, really easy to play. The only thing that is really important that you need to know that will improve your win rate is how to mulligan. Like, if you don't see one of these 3 cards in your opening hand, you mulligan, even if you go to 6. Initiative of Suns, Trialmaker, and Power Stone. You don't have one of these 3 cards, you mulligan. You go to 6 if you need it. But the deck will win a lot more if you have these cards in hand. So you should almost always do it. There are a few exceptions, like versus that you, because FTP usually have Torch and Snowball, so they have a lot of interaction for your early mana dots, and they are pretty slow, and it's a decent matchup for you. Like, it's a good matchup for you. Then you can not keep a hand, like you can keep hands that don't have the Initiative of Sons of Trialmaker, because they are already bad versus them, because they will always die, sometimes for free. So you will rather have a hand, for example, with Time Merchant, than a hand with 2 Trialmakers in hand. Like, I think actually a hand with Trialmaker and Initiative of Suns, like 2 Trialmakers and Initiative of Suns in hand versus an FTP deck, if you know they are playing FTP, is auto mulligan, actually. You keep that hand versus everyone else, but you mulligan versus them, because they have Downpour in the sideboard. They have so many ways to kill your mana dogs. And it's the same for any deck that plays Hearthstone. Like, you need to be smart about that. Like, when you know they are playing a slow deck and you don't need to be that fast, and you know they are killing your mana dogs every time, then you don't keep this very fast hand with mana dogs. So that is something that is a little hard. Like, you should probably don't care about this, because like you only really care about the mulligan rule. Like, you only keep the hands with those 3 cards, because the rest is matchup dependent. That is very relative and it's kind of hard. And the point is, in ladder you don't know what is your opponent playing, so you don't really care about that. But for example, another tip I can give you: you never attack versus Justice decks with the mana dogs, because they can have Defiance, and you don't care about the damage. Like, doing 2, 4, 6 extra damage with your mana dogs versus a Justice deck is completely irrelevant for you. But if they kill your mana dog with Defiance, that is really bad for you. So you never attack versus Justice deck with your mana dogs in the early game.
Yeah, I learned that. I learned that the hard way. I was playing it. I was like, I wasn't paying attention. It was like, oh, Defiance. Well, that's
don't worry. I made that mistake many times, even knowing that I shouldn't do it. The other tip I can give you is, for example, if you are playing versus a deck that have the Argent Side, the Tomb, the Regent Tomb, you don't want to mark it early. Like, the problem is, you know they are playing the Tomb at some point, so you don't want to use your merchants early, because if you get the chain early, they will discard it for sure. So what you want to do is wait and have the merchant in hand, because if they play the Tomb and you have the merchant, they will not discard anything relevant, and then you can market the chain and play it after they play the Tomb. So you wait until they play the Tomb for the market decision, if you can.
I love making them discard my privilege of rank with sabotage.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so that is the best feeling. That is the best feeling.
Oh, that's so good. Oh man.
Like, if we talk about the history of this deck, like, this is the first deck in Eternal that is a ramp deck that is actually good. Like, we did have the old ramps decks, but those decks are more meme tier. But this is an actually good deck. Like, I don't think it's the deck. It's not a tier 1 deck in my opinion. It's a tier 2 deck, because it has weaknesses, but it's really powerful, and I do think it's very good. So I'm really happy that finally we have a good ramp deck in the game. Like, I think that is very cool.
I think this is one of the best decks to ease of piloting that I've ever played in this game.
Oh, for sure.
Missing Toes in chat asks, why don't we play Mystic Ascendant in this deck?
The good old question, the good SPC special. No, like, sadly I'm on ET, so I don't play cards that are unplayable. You need to ask for
upkeep.
Yeah. I know in SPC doesn't matter. Like, you love playing 7 mana Temple Scribes, but I don't. Now, like,
oh wow.
Now, like, if we talk about the history of the deck and how did I came with it, like I did write about this in our site. Like you can see how I came out with the deck, but like
And that's
this
on
came
EternalTitans.com.
exactly.
Okay.
But this even came before that because I've been trying to play ramp decks and build Cainbrei big mana decks for a long time. Like before we had chains, I was trying it mostly with Boda combo, but Bodakan just sucks. Like the guy is so bad. Like
Toulouse helped, but Chains really put
oh,
it
a
over the
lot.
top.
Like yeah. Like I played so many Bodakan decks and so many Boda combo decks, and they are so bad. Like I think I never made a Boda combo deck that was half decent in my opinion. After that, we had the loot, and with the loot, I did build a decent mid-range Cainbrei deck. Like I remember we played Cainbrei mid-range in the ECQ with Sunnyville in the first ECQ, and we did well. Like he made, I was doing a lot of similar decks, but I wasn't sold on the deck. Like I didn't think was great, and then Sunny came his own with his own version of the deck, and I thought it was good, and I decided to give it a chance because I thought Sony, like if Sony says something is good, I will listen to him. So I took his idea, talked with him about the cards he didn't like. Like for example, I remember that he didn't like Sword of Unity, and that was insane to me. I thought that Sword of Unity was fundamental for the deck, but after talking a lot with him, like he made very good arguments for not having Sword of Unity in the main and other cards that I thought were very important. So he changed my mind about a lot of the cards, and then I tried a new approach on the deck. I have a similar version to him with some little difference, but nothing important. And we both made top 64 that ECQ. So that was basically the first kind of ramp deck I had success with Cainbrei, but it was more a mid-range deck, not really a ramp deck. The problem is sometimes you did throw a lot of power and didn't do anything in the late game, because after the loot you didn't have a big payoff outside of Parliament. That is why when I saw Chain, like I saw the potential of the card to fix all these problems, because those decks were so good at throwing a lot of power, but didn't have anything to do with the power in the late game. Because if you play a crappy card like Mystic Ascended, like that guy is not a good mana sink, will always die versus any decent deck. So you need something more reliable, like Chain.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's a good deck. So if you want to play it, remember, just look for ramp. And so
Yeah. Yeah, but if you look the deck, like the deck is all power and a few payoff. Like every card in the deck basically give you power, and many of them are card advantage. Like for example, Ambassador is a 3-for-1, Icaria is a 2-for-1, like Marshall is a 2-for-1. Like that is the idea. Generate advantage with the power.
for sure. So thanks for bringing this deck on and talking about it.
One last thing, like
Yes.
it's very important if you are playing ramp decks. You need to understand that you don't have space to play a lot of interaction. You need to play the minimum amount of interaction. Like that is really important because you need every card in the deck to be power or a payoff. You don't have a space to play cards like Vanquish or Defiance or Castle. Like you have some, but not many. So you should try to play as little as you can.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
That is
No,
so.
totally makes sense. All right, here we go to our sign off and our shout outs and where to find us. Camat0, where can they find you on Twitter? Your content?
They
all
can
that
search
stuff?
for. You can search for Camat0 in Twitter, and they can search for Camat0 in Twitch. In Twitch. So that is all you need to know. If you know my name, you can find me probably. You can also find me sometimes in the Eternal Titans site, that eternaltitans.com.
Yeah,
So-
if you want to read Camat0's thoughts on this deck rather than hear them on our terrible podcast, go look up his write up on the deck on EternalTitans.com.
Yes, for sure. All right, Bassoon, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Human Venipede. It's an amazing tag. I'm so funny. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/BassoonBuffoon. I love you all very much.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter at WhatTheDeckHS. Also, don't forget you can follow our podcast Twitter at From the Void Cast. We have our website, FromTheVoidPodcast.com, has all the episodes on there, plus a link to our Discord and all that good stuff. So, thank you all for watching, for listening. We love you all, and we'll see you again next week. From the Void.